How do you stop micromanaging your associates? So, in your law firm, if you find yourself really paying attention to the moment by moment, day to day, checking in on their work, or if someone very kindly has told you that you are micromanaging your associates, or you're spending more of your time watching what they're doing as opposed to doing whatever you're doing in your firm, this is for you. And I wish I could wave a magic wand and make it instantly easy and happy for you. And know that it's a little bit of a process. But once you figure it out, you'll have a clear system in place and you can move forward with this. And each time you'll improve. Maybe it's incremental improvements, maybe it's huge leaps forward. But this will give you time back in your practice and in your life. So I like to think about it as what, when, how are they blocked, or is something else going on? And so let's start with the what. I don't know about you, but when I was a new attorney, I had the experience of working for a supervising attorney who asked me to draft a motion. And so I dutifully went back. I had the go by, I did the law, I used my facts, I drafted my motion, and I came eagerly back to him and said, okay, here's my motion. And he said, well, where's the order? And I was like, I have not drafted that yet. You asked me to draft the motion. Well, every motion has an order. You should always have the order. Okay. So this attorney wasn't clear about what. He didn't say exactly what he wanted, and he didn't communicate that to me. And I, as a young associate, did not ask. I didn't ask for clarification about what exactly he was looking for. And so there was something on both sides. So not only do we need to train ourselves to be absolutely clear about what the expectations are, and I mean clear in a way that if somebody was looking at a photograph or they were watching a video with no sound, they would know exactly what you were talking about. So this is something that some attorneys have no difficulty with, and some law firm owners have no idea because they're like, well, of course it's this, but they don't understand that is the thing in their head that they have not communicated. So are you, as the supervisor, communicating exactly what you're expecting and letting the associate attorney do? Also, are you training your employees to say, ask for clarification, to say what they need when you're describing what you're doing? And we all know that asking someone to do a motion for the first time is very different from asking them to do it for the 40th time. And I think if you are micromanaging, there is a place where you have uncertainty about someone else's behavior. And so this is the start where you have absolute clarity on what the expectation is. So the second is when. When do you expect this done by? And so, for example, in the first case, it could be, bring me your draft motion by 5 o'clock tomorrow. And this is one of those things where it's a great training place, but um, it's also a place where you have to give away some of the power. And so, what I suggest is, for example, if you are assigning something, the motion plus order, 5 o'clock tomorrow. The 5 o'clock tomorrow is fairly clear. How you want it. Do you want a paper copy on your desk? Do you want it emailed to you? Do you just want some confirmation that it's done and you can find it in the client files? However that works. Um, and that you can develop however the process is in your firm. The next piece is generally associates do not have one thing that they're working on. And often they do not have one attorney they're working for. And so this is a skill that every associate needs to have where they say, okay, I have this motion in this order. I also have a court case that I'm showing up for. I also have these 3 other matters that I'm working on that are due later. And so this is the point where you train them to tell you, this is what I have going on. My understanding is that the court appearance has the highest priority for tomorrow. And so, um, you know, should I work on this motion today, leave it for tomorrow, and come back? And if court runs over, what would you like me to do? Because then they're telling you what they have on their plate, what they think the priority is, and allowing you to say, no, 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 we don't need you to appear tomorrow. Someone else can go a second chair. What I would really like you to finish this motion. This is the highest priority. Or no, no, no. Oh, I had forgotten about that court date. Why don't we do it the following day by 5 p.m.? That sort of thing. So at that moment, you encourage your associates to talk to you about what they think the priority is and allow you to either agree with their assessment or to come back and say, no, I've decided that the priority is here. And so when you have 2 attorneys, both who have assigned work to a particular associate, the best thing you can do is to duke it out among the peers. So you and the other supervising attorney, you and the other partner, and do not put this on your associate. Don't make them go back or fail to do their work because the 2 of you couldn't agree on priorities. Here also, you can do a little bit of back and forth. For example, you know that the matter assigned by the other attorney isn't actually due until next Tuesday. And as far as you're aware, the other attorney is going to be in the office and available to review this work. So you can say, well, what I'd really like you to do is put that other matter on the back burner until the following day and focus on this as the priority. Or you can choose to take back your own matter and allow them to prioritize the other attorney's issues. And it is one of those things where it takes finesse on both sides. And also, train your associates to then go and notify the other attorney that they have been assigned work from you and you've decided that it's a higher priority because this one has a later deadline, because then that gives the other supervising attorney the opportunity to say, no, actually, I'm going to be completely unavailable for the rest of the week, so I need to have it done today. And train your associate to CC both of you on any communication so that you all know what's going on, so that they're not responsible for prioritizing something that becomes later a mistake that they get blamed for when they were truly blameless. The third issue is, does your associate know how to do the thing you're assigning? So you have been absolutely clear on what the expectation is. You have clarified when it's due, and they know their priorities. And so the next step is, do they actually know how? Do you train your associates in go-bys, how to use the research, how to take this next step in this process, how to access particular client information? Do they have they done things like this before? Do they know that it is similar to something else they've already been trained on that they already know? And if this is a question of they've been doing it, but they haven't been doing it how you like, this is the moment to really retrain this. With hiring, which is a completely different subject, but when you're hiring, we often want people who are experienced. But what we forget is that we have to train them, and this is how we do it here. And it can be, this is how we do it here in this law firm. It can be, this is how we do it here for me as your supervising attorney, which may be different from for someone else, one of the other partners. And so this is how we do it here. This is how I like for things to be done. This is how Um, I want you to report to me. This is how. Um, and this is really important because it is one of those things that we assume our associates know, and often they don't. And so, again, if you can imagine the video, if you can imagine a photograph, um, that you can see exactly what the steps are, and you can clarify this with your associate. This is what it looks like to close the loop. This, I want a draft that I can file. If you're drafting a motion, I want you to include potential causes of action that maybe even you aren't sure about. Go ahead and make the argument, and we'll go over your draft. And if I find that they're spurious or I feel like they don't really have a legal or factual reference point, then we'll go ahead and strike them. But I would like you to include as much as you think is supported by the facts. And so this goes into the how. Do they know how to do the thing you've asked them to do? The next question is, are they blocked? So if someone is not doing something and they're not doing it in the way that you would like it done, and all of this has been communicated, they know what they're doing, they know when it's due, they know how to do it. If they're blocked, for example, they need information from the client, and this associate is not yet doing client communications. So they need you to communicate with the client. So there's a list of questions that they have. So if they're blocked, they can't complete the motion because they don't have the information they need. And so this is something that you want to help your associates speak to you about proactively, to come to you and say, okay, I've gotten this far and I think that this is the case, and yet, I need this additional information before I can move forward on the motion. And I know it's due by 5 o'clock today, and this sort of thing, so that you train them to give you the whole context whenever you speak about the matter, because this helps you not have to keep everything in your head. So they tell you what, they tell you when, and then they tell you exactly what's blocking them, and how they would like to solve that problem. And this is a great place when you're training your associates too, to talk to them about gathering up the questions, like putting all the questions together, so they're not coming to you with onesie twosies. They're coming with a list at a time and saying, hey, I have this list of questions before I can finish the motion. When's a good time to talk, and this sort of thing. So if they're blocked, they should come to you, or they should find a way, of course, to unblock. But always they should inform you of something that is outside of the work that they're doing that blocks them. Um, the next step is they know what to do, they know how to do it, they are not blocked. They know when it's due by, and yet it's still not getting done. And this, I think, is where a lot of managers feel like they're micromanaging, feel like they're really paying attention because this is the important thing. And I think that almost never is this the case. Almost never is it that, for whatever reason, maybe they are overwhelmed by their caseload, maybe they are feeling unmotivated, maybe they're ill, maybe something is going on in their lives that is making it difficult for them to perform in the task that you've assigned. And so, if it is one of these other factors, this is the point where you decide what you're going to do about it. You decide if you're going to tell them, no, I'm sorry, suck it up and do, or if you're going to talk to them about um, accommodation, or is there some way you can help, or some way someone else can help, maybe another associate can take on the matter. This is a place where if someone is frequently there, that's a longer issue. But I think for the most part, our associate attorneys are really trying to do their work, and they're working hard. and maybe they do feel overwhelmed by the caseload. And so it's worth it to ask them and to talk to them about the process and why are they feeling so overwhelmed. Maybe it's they don't have a good sense of the timeline of a case. When you've worked in a particular field for so long, you understand how long it takes you to do something, how long you need before a deadline to start something. You have all of those non-specific deadlines in your head rather than this is the due date. And you've internalized this in a way that is not explicit. And so for newer associates, it is they have no internal guidelines for themselves. And so it's a good idea to, for example, if overwhelm is the issue, it's a really good idea to talk to them about managing a caseload and looking at all the matters they have on their plate, taking a time. And this is a great training exercise, I think, in general, is to have your associates come to you and say, okay, quick update, 5-minute update on all my cases. This is what I've got going. This is the hot case. This is the most urgent. This one's bringing the most difficulty because of X, because of the particular client, because of opposing counsel, because of whatever it is. And this gives you the opportunity to mentor in a scheduled time, in a time where both of you know that you're going to be talking about the matters. This gives your associate the time to step up and be a leader, to have ownership over the matters that they're handling. And this also calms your brain a little bit, because a lot of micromanaging comes from this anxiety that things aren't getting done, or they're not getting done right, or they're not getting done on time, and it's outside of your control. And so you're grasping and trying to pull back as much control as possible. This sort of scheduled rhythm allows you to say, okay, I know that we're meeting on Tuesday at 2 o'clock, and it's sacrosanct, it's short, it is the opportunity I'm going to have to check in and do. And so I no longer have to do. The more you stop micromanaging and train your associates to take ownership, the more you train them on the level of communication and feedback you'd like to have as the file manager, the more you can let go of the reins and really focus on your own work as opposed to standing over the shoulder of your associates. I hope this helps. And if this is something you struggle with and you'd like to go a little bit deeper, you'd like to talk about what particularly you are struggling with, and whether you're a micromanager or being micromanaged, I'd love to talk to you about it. So click the link below, schedule a free consultation, and we'll talk anytime. I'm Moira. I'm a former IP attorney and now legal practice coach. And I want more of us to have flexible, profitable, and sustainable law firms. So I hope you enjoy your day, and happy lawyering.